The auditorium buzzed with anticipation, bright lights reflecting off the polished floor as I took the stage. From my spot, I could see them, my family front row center, smiles, wide phones raised, capturing every moment. My mother beamed. My father nodded proudly, and Chloe waved like the world revolved around her. They thought they were here to celebrate my success, but they had no idea that the story I was about to tell would reveal the quiet neglect that shaped my life. Have you ever felt invisible in your own family? Growing up, the lines were drawn early. I was the workhorse, the one expected to endure, to manage to be invisible yet indispensable, while Chloe, my twin, was a show pony admired and celebrated for even the smallest gestures. I remember when we were 6, climbing the big oak in our backyard. I reached one branch too high and it snapped beneath me. I fell hard, my knee splitting open on a rock. Muddy and bleeding, I limped inside, expecting comfort. My mother, Cynthia, turned from the counter with a flat, tired sigh, handed me a single Band-Aid and a paper towel, and told me to clean myself up. I sat on the tub edge, washing the dirt and gravel from my knee, biting my lip to stop screaming. 2 weeks later, Chloe sniffled softly on the sofa. My parents reacted immediately, wrapping her in blankets, bringing orange juice, checking her temperature. I stood in the doorway, still bearing a swollen scab unnoticed. That moment crystallized the pattern that would shape every year of my childhood. By 13, the division became physical. Chloe's room was transformed into a magazine-worthy sanctuary. Soft pink walls, a new bed frame, a vanity, and matching curtains. I was moved to the attic, a cold, stifling space that baked in summer and froze in winter. When I asked to paint it, my mother looked puzzled. "Why, it's a room, isn't it?" Graduation magnified the disparity. Chloe was led blindfolded outside to a brand new white SUV gleaming with a bow, squealing with joy, her parents beaming. When my turn came, my father handed me the keys to our old battered sedan, its dented door and 180,000 miles glaringly obvious. "It builds character," he said. Character, they called it, as if neglect were a gift. I had learned early that my strength was not celebrated, it was expected. Chloe was displayed, protected, and adored, while I bore the weight of responsibility, the quiet labor, and the invisible wounds. Every birthday, every scrape, every achievement confirmed it. I was the durable one, the reliable one, the competent one whose burdens were invisible and whose sacrifices were unacknowledged. This pattern threaded through bedrooms, playgrounds, and milestones, a constant shaping my understanding of love, worth, and expectation. It was a silent lesson in parental favoritism, teaching me that being strong came at the cost of being seen. College only widened the chasm between Chloe and me. I excelled academically, graduating as valedictorian of the pre-med program, every grade a testament to the late nights, early mornings, and an unrelenting drive. Chloe, meanwhile, cruised through the communications program, her solid C+ average, never a concern to anyone but her. Our parents treated it like a performance review rather than a family conversation. I remember sitting at the kitchen table, the air thick with unspoken hierarchy as they discussed summer plans and financial support. Chloe was to travel through Europe for 6 weeks, a luxury to cultivate her creativity, build experiences, and capture Instagram perfect moments, while I, the one juggling scholarships and student loans, listened silently. When it came to me, the conversation shifted to practicality, spoken in the language of responsibility rather than encouragement. Med school, that's the plan, right? My father asked, his voice steady but impersonal, almost corporate. I explained the tuition, the MCAT requirements, the mandatory prep course, and my need for them to co-sign loans. I was met with measured nods, questions about cost, and a vague promise to let us think it over. That night, walking past their bedroom, I paused. The door was cracked open and I overheard them. My father worried about Chloe's new apartment deposit. My mother echoed his concern, her tone heavy with frustration over the money and the supposed risks of supporting me. Liz is smart, she's strong, she'll get scholarships, she'll figure it out. They said, leaving no room for negotiation or emotion. I stood frozen in the hallway, the ice cubes clinking in Mark's glass, a cold punctuation to the words I would never forget. I realized then that their vision of me was fixed, capable, independent, competent. My success was expected, my failures unacknowledged. Chloe, on the other hand, was celebrated for mere effort, her every step guided and protected. That was the cruel symmetry of parental role assignment. My competence was my punishment, my strength, a silent demand, and my sacrifices invisible. I understood fully in that moment that I was navigating my future alone, that the support I craved, the acknowledgement I deserved, would not come from the people I had hoped would see me. College became not just an academic journey, but a lesson in solitude resilience, and the cost of being the workhorse in a family that only celebrated the show pony. My first year of medical school felt like existing in two worlds at once, neither of them mine. By day, I was a ghost in the lecture halls, sitting in the back, trying to absorb the endless complexities of human anatomy while my eyes burned with fatigue. By night, I became an orderly on the surgical floor from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., changing bedpans, restocking supplies, and cleaning messes no one wanted to name. The hospital hallways became familiar, sterile corridors. I walked like a phantom present, but unseen. On weekends, I had a second job as a phlebotomist, drawing blood through 8-hour shifts. Hands steady and smile, fixed my feet aching living off the $30 in tips and ramen noodles in the break room. I was a machine powered by caffeine, adrenaline, and a simmering cold rage. Yet the machine was breaking down. The MCAT loomed in 3 weeks, and the mandatory $2,500 prep course I needed to keep my scholarship was out of reach. I sat in my tiny, cold apartment, staring at the wall, hands trembling with the thought of failing, of being kicked out, of losing everything I had fought for. In a final act of hope, I picked up the phone and dialed my mother. When she answered, her voice was breezy, detached, as if my existence was a minor inconvenience in her day. I explained my predicament, the urgent need for tuition, and the MCAT course, the scholarships, hanging in the balance. Her tone shifted instantly, from light to icy. She questioned me, scolding as if I had caused this predicament by daring to need anything. Chloe deserves the best start in her new life, she said almost matter-of-factly, delivering a blow that left no room for argument. As for you, you just need to work harder. That's what you're good at, isn't it? Click. The line went dead. In that moment, the little girl who had spent 22 years climbing out of the attic, hoping for recognition, died. There was no anger, no tears, just a void, a cold, empty space where hope had once lived. I understood then that I was entirely on my own. My competence, my strength, my sacrifices, none of it mattered to them. I was left with exhaustion, isolation, and the relentless pressure to survive, to succeed, and to endure all by myself in a world that saw only what I could accomplish, never the cost at which I accomplished it. I'd been buried in my biochemistry textbook, the hospital library silent except for the occasional rustle of pages, my head resting on the open book. As exhaustion clawed at me, I hadn't slept properly in days, and the weight of 2 jobs, MCAT prep and relentless study, pressed down like a physical force. Then a sharp, commanding voice cut through my fog. Dr. Larissa. I startled upright, heart hammering. Standing over me was Dr. Stephen Roth, the chief of surgery, a man whose reputation for precision and zero tolerance for weakness was legendary. My mouth went dry and I mumbled an apology, trying to explain that I was just reviewing. He didn't scold, didn't offer pity. He simply scanned the color-coded notes covering every inch of my table and looked back at me. "You're the best student in my rotation," he said quietly, and for a moment the words didn't register. "You have the best hands I've seen in a decade, but you look like a ghost. What's going on?" For the first time, someone wasn't just praising my strength, they were noticing the cost of it, seeing beyond the endurance into the person I was. Maybe it was the exhaustion, maybe it was finally being recognized as more than the workhorse in my family. But I told him the truth. I explained the overnight shifts as an orderly, the weekend phlebotomy job, the MCAT course I couldn't afford, and the crushing pressure of navigating it all alone. He listened silently, nodding, studying me like he would a patient, absorbing every detail without judgment. After a long pause, he said, "I need a research assistant. It's data analysis on aortic valve replacements. Boring, tedious work, pays less than your jobs combined. But it's medicine, real medicine. And you can do it on your own time. Stop cleaning bedpans, start using your brain." Relief washed over me in a way I hadn't felt in years. For the first time, my effort, my skill, my intelligence were recognized, not as a testament to my endurance, not as a justification for neglect, but as genuine talent. I quit both jobs, took the position, and though the work was brutal and Dr. Roth was exacting, the validation was profound. I was treated as capable, precise, competent, not just strong. It was the first time someone truly saw me, and it changed everything. 3 months into my research assistant position with Dr. Roth, I was still adjusting to the brutal demands of real medicine. The late nights, the meticulous data analysis, and the constant pressure to perform without a safety net. One afternoon, he called me into his office with a quiet intensity. "I'm nominating you for a scholarship," he said. My heart skipped. "The Surgical Heritage Scholarship." He continued, "It covers full tuition living stipend and wipes out any student debt, but the application is a nightmare." I sat frozen, disbelief washing over me. This wasn't just a scholarship, it was the freedom I had been clawing toward, the validation of every sleepless night, every shift, every dollar saved. He explained the story behind it. The donor's family had lost everything to a failed business, and in response, the first chief of surgery had created this scholarship. For one hard-working student each year, the workers, not the show ponies. I understood immediately. This was not a handout, not a reward for charm or privilege, but recognition of perseverance, of skill, of silent endurance. The essay was my weapon. I wrote every truth: the cold attic room, the old family car, the stark contrast between a Chloe and me, the burden of responsibility, the relentless push to be strong when all I wanted was to be seen. I laid bare my exhaustion, my financial struggles, the endless night shifts, the ramen-fueled weekends, and the quiet rage that had fueled me. There was no embellishment, No dramatization, just facts unvarnished. Dr. Roth read it, nodded once, and sent it off. 3 weeks later, the email arrived. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. I had won. Every loan erased, tuition paid, a full stipend granted. The struggle I had carried for so long, the exhaustion, the debt, the solitude was suddenly lifted. I cried for the first time in years, a mixture of relief and validation washing over me. For the first time, my efforts were recognized not as duty or expected strength, but as achievement in their own right. Chloe, meanwhile, continued on the path paved by parental favor, living comfortably, socializing, and relying on the safety net I had been denied. The contrast was stark, yet it no longer felt like a wound. Instead, it became a measure of my independence, a testament to what could be accomplished through resilience, determination, and relentless work ethic. The scholarship didn't just pay bills. It transformed how I saw myself, how I understood the value of my labor, and how I approached every challenge thereafter. I was no longer merely surviving. I was thriving, finally recognized as capable, competent, precise, and fully deserving of the opportunities before me. That moment marked a turning point, a liberation from the shadows of neglect, and a confirmation that perseverance, honesty, and unwavering commitment could create a life on my own terms. The day had arrived, the culmination of years of struggle, sacrifice, and relentless effort. Chicago was cold, a wind off Lake Michigan biting through every layer, but inside the auditorium, the warmth of anticipation was almost suffocating. I walked onto the stage, heart pounding, scanning the crowd until my eyes landed on my family front row center, my mother's bright smile, Chloe's effortless wave, my father's proud nod. They had no idea the story that was about to unfold. The dean announced each student, their futures mapped in envelopes and applause. When he called my name, the recognition of my hard work became public. He added something that sent a shiver through the room. She achieved all this while working overnight shifts without any financial help from her family. The auditorium erupted, and I felt the weight of every lonely night, every shift, every dollar earned and sacrificed finally acknowledged. I saw my mother's smile falter, her pride faltering under the weight of truth. My father's confident demeanor cracked his usual composed expression, replaced by stunned silence. Chloe froze, the ease with which she had always navigated life, suddenly challenged by the reality of my achievements. In that moment, the applause washed over me, not just for matching to Chicago, but for the journey it took. To arrive here, the endless hours, the financial strain, the isolation, and the perseverance. I felt a strange liberation standing there, finally visible on my own terms, without their approval or interference. Their secret neglect had been laid bare, yet it no longer carried power over me. I met their eyes and felt nothing but clarity. The judgment, the favoritism, the quiet dismissals of the past, they belonged to them, not to me. As I stepped off the stage, walking away from the gaze that had once dictated my worth, a sense of closure settled in. I was free to define my own life, guided by competence, ambition, and the choices I had earned. Later that night, in Chicago, their texts arrived chattering about Chloe's trips, dinners, and family plans. I replied simply, "I'm busy." Sometimes survival requires walking away, not in cruelty, but in the quiet assertion of your own boundaries. The ceremony, the applause, the recognition, these were markers of resilience, of the power to thrive despite neglect. And as I left the hall, I understood that personal freedom often comes with solitude, that self-respect sometimes demands distance, and that the life you carve with your own hands holds a significance no one else can diminish. In that moment, Chicago was not just a city. It was a testament to endurance, independence, and the unshakable strength of choosing yourself when others fail to see you. Looking back, the journey wasn't just about medical school or scholarships. It was about discovering my own strength, setting boundaries, and choosing who shapes my life. Sometimes survival means stepping away. Sometimes it means proving to yourself what you're capable of when no one else will. Take a moment to reflect on your own path, the challenges you've faced, and the quiet victories that define your resilience. How have you learned to stand on your own and honor your worth?